As you get older, are you going to want to climb stairs? Are you going to want to go on your knees to get into your bed? No, probably not. When I started my research on tiny houses, I was kind of lost and overwhelmed at first. And I went from a very small, tiny house with no electricity, nothing, to this beautiful house now. Jump in. Don't be afraid to try it. It'll change your life. Hi, I'm Lawrence. Welcome to my tiny house. Let me show you around. All right, well, the tiny house is 8 foot wide by 28 foot, and it's 13.5 tall at its peak. And if you count both the lofts, it's about 354 square feet. The lot itself is 50 foot wide, and it is about 480 some in length. So it's just a little over half an acre, and the tiny house fits in just perfectly. In the back half of the property is where the septic drain field is, and I also keep my garage out there, keep my electric bikes out of the weather. And then on the opposite side is where the new tiny cabin project is, and it's all coming together. When I first bought the tiny house, it was basically a shell. So there was no kitchen, there was no bathroom. It was not easy because I was a one person doing a two-person job. So trying to hold up the cabinets yourself and drilling them into the wall at the same time is not always easy. But I got it done, and it's been pretty functional so far. And it was a good learning experience for me too. Before I had no idea how to do plumbing, and now I can help you plumb your house. One of the most important things for me was to have a large stove. I like baking, I like cooking at home, so really the centerpiece of my kitchen is the stove. And then, of course, my double sink. In the sink area, when I was initially putting it in, I'm not gonna lie, I made a little mistake. And so the rocks that you see here were to kind of hide the gap in between, and unfortunately some of them have fallen off thanks to the dogs. This is going to be replaced in the future, but you want to make sure you plan it out, be thoughtful, and really decide what you want so you can avoid my mess. I do have a rainwater collection system and water delivery, so it was important to me to have clean drinking water. So that's why I have the Berkey. Over here, just more counter space for my other appliances that I use on a regular. I've got my air conditioner, heater, and dehumidifier that's been working pretty well for me so far. For food storage, it was important to me to have enough, obviously cabinet space. In a tiny house, you really need to focus on where you're going to put all of your food, your dishes, things like that. It was important to me to also have my dry goods available, quick and easy access, and visually appealing. So I like having them in the mason jars there. It's really convenient. I can just reach up, grab some lentils, and go to town. In every tiny house, you really need to have dual purpose things. And so for me, this is working as my calendar and also a little grocery list reminder that it's also my storage drawer for my spices. Some things you could learn from me that I needed to do was take your time and draw out what you plan on doing when you're building. For instance, I put in a countertop that was a little less expensive, and ultimately I'm gonna have to replace it. Now I want to have a butcher block counter. That's what I originally wanted, and I sacrificed. And if I could do it again, I would take my time, I would save up the money, and do it the way you really want to do it. If it's going to be your forever home, you might as well have it the way you really want it. And on this side of the kitchen and dining room area, you can see my fridge-freezer combo. One thing you might want to consider is the doors and how they're going to open in your kitchen. I made the mistake, I didn't think about it. Look at that. Now I've got to walk around into the living area to get groceries out. So something you might want to consider. And then over on this side, I've got some more storage. And then I also have my microwave sitting right on top of the fridge. For me, it's not a big deal because I can reach it. So this is my dining room table. It also serves as my altar. I believe in the power of energy, so it's important for me to have a space that I can use my smudge sticks and cleanse the area. And also have a nice place to sit down and eat. It's nice because I can look out the window, watch the birds while I'm having my breakfast or dinner. And it's just important to me to have a really comfortable place to sit. When I started my research on tiny houses, I was kind of lost and overwhelmed at first. I mean, they can vary from inexpensive to a couple $100,000. And I really started my research and said, what can I do? What can I afford? And I did find this tiny house as a shell, and it was listed on tiny house listings for $17,500. And it was incomplete, so I had to do a lot of work. But the total price to date is about $30,000 for the tiny house. That's not including the land, that's not including the power and all the utilities. But it was obtainable for me. I actually paid it off in a fairly quick amount of time. I ended up going through a private individual. We drafted up a contract for 3 years, and I'm debt-free with the tiny house and the land. The land itself is a little bit over a half an acre. It's a skinny property. It's only 50 feet wide, but it's over 400 in length, and I have 50 feet of access of waterfront on the Puget Sound. The cost was about $60,000. Now, to put utilities in, we're looking at another $20,000 between the electricity and the septic system that's been installed. So the land itself, the tiny house, and utilities altogether, $110,000. One thing that I had to really do was be patient when I bought the tiny house. It was unfinished, and I still moved inside of it. I didn't have power at the time. I didn't have water. I didn't have septic. Let's just say it was a very humble beginnings, but it can be done, and you do what you need to do to succeed. And I went from a very small, tiny house with no electricity, nothing, to this beautiful house now. This is my third couch. I bought two, let's just say inexpensive couches. They didn't last, they broke down pretty quickly, and I had to save up and get a good quality sofa. So now I've got the perfect love seat for me. I won't have to buy another one for a few years. Over here, it was important to me also to have some good storage area. I ended up using the stairs for my TV, for the washer dryer combo unit, as well as my electric fireplace. And I was also able to put in a little library there too. Overall, I'm very happy with my living room and my living space. There's not a whole lot that I would change here, but why don't I show you the office space? It's nice because I do work from home, and sometimes I get tired of sitting, so it is a high-low desk, which is nice. Another thing I do here at my desk is work on editing for my YouTube channel. It's called Lost in Woods PNW, and it's basically about my life and living here in the woods and working on the property as well as the new tiny house cabin that I have. So if you're interested, check it out sometime. Previous to tiny house living, I was an apartment dweller for years. Honestly, I never thought I would be able to own a house. And so I started thinking outside of the box. And that's what led me down the rabbit hole to the tiny house. And you name it, from YouTube video to YouTube video, I was inspired. And a friend of mine actually built his own tiny house about 6 or 7 years ago. And I was able to assist him with that. And that really gave me the motivation to realize that, yes, I can have the dream of home ownership, just in a smaller package. One thing that really stood out to me as far as going tiny was the fact that you're really downsizing. It has less impact on the environment, which is important to me too. And also cost-wise, it really doesn't cost that much to operate a tiny house. My electricity bills are fairly low each month. I can run AC, I can run electric heat. I even have an electric car, and I don't spend any more than $120 or so a month on electricity. So it was beneficial to go tiny. Welcome to the bathroom space. I have a pretty large and comfortable shower stall, which is nice. I don't have to hit my elbows on anything. And, you know, nice little curtain, go around, keep the water out. The toilet's down here. I started with a composting toilet before I ended up getting the septic system in. I'm glad I have the flush toilet now, just personal choice. So I recently got a septic system installed, which was really nice. It was a little costly, right around $8,500. When you're considering for your own property, septic or not, don't just give up and say it's too expensive. There might be a solution. In my case, I was able to qualify for a government grant. So the flush toilet takes a considerable amount of water, but being that I do the water collection and water delivery, I needed to find ways to conserve the water that I do have. So I ended up going with a low flow nozzle. It takes about 0.5 gallons per minute, and actually I can get about a 10-minute hot shower out of it. On this side of the bathroom, because it's about 50 square feet, I was able to get a decent sized vanity in here, which is nice. So you can see the backsplash is actually matching in the kitchen. It was important for me to kind of have a little uniformity in the build. So it is actually stone, believe it or not. It's not plastic, it's nice hard stone. And I think it blends in well. It's easy to clean up, which is important too. You know, water splashes when you're doing all sorts of prepping for the day. And then I also have a little storage area for, you know, medicines and whatnots. Up here, I've got a little additional storage, a couple of baskets. I put my towels in there. I also have a little live edge shelf here that I keep, you know, a few different things, essential oils, hair products, skincare, things of that nature. Again, sometimes you want to have certain things out. And in this case, I thought the live edge was going to be kind of nice to look at and a great place to store things. This is my additional loft storage area. You can see my plants up there. It's nice to see them. It kind of hides some of the stuff behind the scenes, if you will. And I used to use it for guests when they came, but now I have a new tiny cabin, and that's going to be my new space for guests. Welcome to the loft space. I was able to get a king-size bed up here, so it's pretty comfortable. As you can see, the headroom is only so high on this side, but you know, you make do. You get used to crawling on your knees to go to bed. Some other things I have up here are my storage area for my clothes. I've got a little chest here. And then occasionally I like watching TV in bed, so on this side I've got a TV. One thing I would have done different would have been to lower the actual ceiling of the kitchen area. That's what we're sitting above right now. And, you know, if it was down just a foot or two more, you'd still be able to stand just fine in the kitchen, but you'd also have a lot more headroom so you don't whack your head in the morning. Another thing to think about as you get older is, are you gonna wanna climb stairs? Are you gonna wanna go on your knees to get into your bed? No, probably not. In a perfect world, I would have had the bedroom downstairs. And so that's another reason I got the tiny cabin that I'm working on, is because the bedroom is going to be on the first floor. So that way, when I get older, if I don't want to climb the loft, or maybe my knees are hurting that day, or who knows, maybe I threw my back out, I won't have to climb stairs. I can just sleep comfortably downstairs. I waited until I was like in my early 40s to start this project. I wish I would have started this in my 30s. Mind you, I'm debt-free now, so I'm living pretty comfortably, but think about how much money I could have saved and reinvested into, I don't know, retirement, other things like that. I would just say do it, jump in. Don't be afraid, do your research, but jump in. Don't be afraid to try it. It'll change your life. If you would like, you can follow my adventures at Lawson Woods PNW on YouTube. I'm also on Facebook under Lawson Woods PNW, so check it out. Thanks for watching.